Good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed. Hello and welcome to Absolute Sim Racing, and welcome to Suzuka for the very first session and the very first broadcast of Season 2 of the Race Anywhere World Series US. We're here in wonderful GT3 machinery for a great night as a sort of introduction to the second season of this fantastic championship. My name is Chaz Dracop, and I'm here to take you through all of the action tonight on broadcasting and on commentary duties. As you can see, this fantastic, legendary circuit, nearly 6 kilometres in length, one of the only figure 8 Grand Prix circuits in the world. It's quite high altitude in some places compared to the bottom, elevation change-wise, I mean. And it certainly is a challenge for these drivers. Quite a long lap as well around here. Most drivers just under the 2-minute mark as the evening goes on. Well, speaking of the evening going on, we'll take a look at what's going out on track right now, because we have 3 different classes in this championship. And what this first session of the season will do is just basically introduce us to those individual classes, and you're seeing them one at a time as things go on. It's a 45-minute qualifying session which will set up the grid for the first round of the season. From then on, the grids for all of the different races that we do will be in championship order, but reversed. So if you are first in the championship, you will start at the back of your class. The AM drivers are out first at the moment. And as you see, it's currently this man, Michael Fowler, that is top of the pile at the moment, 0.2 of a second ahead of Donald Malcolm. He having a bit of a connection issue at the moment, it seems, is Donald, but there he is in the beautiful BRM Racing red Porsche. Hard onto the brakes into the Casio Triangle. Number 36 machine, as Fowler goes even quicker, 1:59.63. Third place at the moment is this wonderful, wonderful, shiny example of the Team Premat red car of Travis Kepler, the BMW M4 GT3. The car that looks like a pig at the front and a Lexus at the back. Very interesting looking machine. Matthew Placence is in 4th placence at the moment as he makes his way into the pits, the American driver in the Eclipse Racing Esports machine. Justin Delano, his teammate, is out there at the moment, or he's just about to be in. And then we have John Casey in the 046 car. Gorgeous looking combination of colours on the Porsche, as out of spoon curve he goes and just spins it round on the spot. Easy to do that, to be fair, though. Spoon curve is one of those corners where you really have to balance the car all the way around. Tom Cornett is next up in the Team Premat red machine. Another one of the BMW M4 GT3s. We also have an Andrew Rasmussen ready to go out in another session, but we do not have what class he's in, I must admit. Here is John Casey just going into the final corner right now. Down the straight in the wonderful sounding Porsche. We'll go on board. Although he has just let off the gas, actually, because he has put his time in and is all sorted. You could hear the gearbox there squeaking away. And one thing that I think is really, really cool that these guys do is they have a sort of pit out time. So you do actually see them queuing at the end of the pit lane, which isn't something you often see in sim racing. Everybody just piles out of the pit lane in one big gulp. But no, here we get them queuing at the end of the pit lane, ready to go out for the next part of the session. And that, to me, is rather exciting. We do have Andrew Rasmussen in the Pro-Am class, so if you can just bear with me for 2 seconds, I will get him added to our software here, because for some reason he is not in there. And he's going to be part of the blue highlighted Pro-Am class. And off they go then, making their way out onto the circuit. First car out there, Brent Bravata in the Twisted Racing Ferrari. Wonderful sounding machine. Very sort of, how would you describe it? Very unique noise of the Ferrari. Ferrari V8s don't always sound like your usual V8s that you'd expect, where you get a really low, deep rumble of a noise. They obviously rev quite high for V8 engines, so you do get this higher noise. Eric Kulaga in the Vulture Motorsports machine. I was literally commentating on him about 24 hours ago, actually, and Michael Kulaga as well, the two Vulture Motorsports cars, except they were driving in the Porsche Cup class, the 992s, last time I covered them. This is Dean Timms in the Twisted Racing Team machine, one of the admins for the series. Of course, Race Anywhere, Sim3D and Go for the Gap, all partners and sponsors of the series in their own ways, as part of the World Series Leagues organisation. These guys do organise a lot of different championships, and they are here on Absolute Sim Racing. We hope you do enjoy the show, and of course don't forget, please do subscribe to the channel. There's plenty of racing action coming your way day after day. We'll carry on looking through the cars here though. The Q3 Sim Sport machine, another team name I'm not too familiar with, but still another wonderful red, black and white design. A lot of very angular designs. I've noticed this a lot more with American drivers and American teams, is that they love these aggressive shapes, these very sharp, bold angles on their cars, you know, rather than a sort of a cleaner, smoother gradient or just one solid colour. They look really, really cool. There's a lot going on with their liveries. This is Andrew Rasmussen. He's in a Moe and Shandon car, actually. It's very metallic, almost chrome. Audi R8 makes his way down the straight. Just for a moment there, the Audi does exactly what it used to do to me in the back end. Just lets go. There's a very, very close-up view of a car that's painted like a cow with chicken sponsorship on the side of it. Very interesting indeed. This is Logan Vida in the Team Premac car. Casey Metzger for Twisted Racing. Now, I just said about these guys not really using a solid colour, but quite enjoy the Twisted livery. Just a solid white Ferrari with a humongous cat on the side of it. Errol Urixoy in the other kind of Twisted. So there's clearly Twisted Racing and then this kind of Twisted Racing. Although actually I think this is more of a meme of a livery, because it seems to be in Comic Sans up the side of the car, and everybody knows that Comic Sans is the work of the devil. Here's the other one of those Ferraris with Brent Bravata at the wheel. We'll go on board with the 488 GT3. This is the Evo version of the car. So the second iteration looks pretty much identical to the first. Ferrari had to promise everybody that it was different. Here we are through 130R, and you can feel a bit of understeer there from Brent as he goes in. This is of course our Pro-Am category. All of these guys of course qualifying ahead of doing the first race of the season. This all of course down to pre-qualifying, which will set the grid for the first round of the championship that gets counted. So there goes some times on the board. Bravata is second, but Errol Urixoy is currently fastest of the two in the Twisted BMW car 63. Normally a number ran by Lamborghini Huracans, the Lamborghini factory teams running 63 quite a lot. 1:59.4 is the time that Dean Timms gets on the board. We get Jay Steffi going third fastest. Some of them though not quicker than the AM drivers. Michael Fowler is actually third fastest overall at the moment. Kulaga's time goes on the board. Rasmussen completes a lap, but it doesn't count. Same with Logan Vida, same with Michael Kulaga. Joseph Smith is out there as well. Another one of the Team Premac cars, but they seemingly don't have a livery for it at the moment. This is a sort of Brawn GP-esque sort of livery for Joseph Smith. He had a bit of a frustrating evening at Donington Park last night, actually, in the Porsche Cup. We do have an absolute influx of Ferraris, though. If I show you the car logos on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see there is a massive amount of Ferraris, a few BMWs, the odd Lambo as well in the Pro class. But mainly, it is all... Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do this. There you go. So now you can see the different cars at least, as well as the gaps between the drivers. Now listen to the noise this BMW makes. This is an interesting sound. Obviously V8 engine from BMW. It's never made a normal sort of growly, lumpy V8 noise since the good old BMW Z4 GT3. That was an unbelievably thunderous sounding machine. Saw a couple of them racing in the British GT Championship at Oulton Park a few years ago. I believe they were run by 888 Motorsports. And they are incredible machines. Long live the Z4, I say. I'm one of those people that can't stand this front end of the M4. I love the back of it. The back of it looks phenomenal. It looks very planted, very beefy, huge diffuser on it. The stance on it's great. You can see a lot of the rear wheels as well. But something about the front just doesn't, I don't know, it just doesn't look as good as something like this, does it? The Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo 2020. Of course, Audi recently released their most recent Evo car, which is the R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2 with forward-facing wing struts. So a lot of these teams, as you see here with the BMWs and even the Jaguar XKRs used to do it in the GT2 cars, they have this swan neck rear wing support that goes over the top of the wing. It's supposed to be really efficient aerodynamically. But Audi's new car, the supports go behind the rear wing and then over the top of the back of it, I believe. It's pretty crazy, to be fair. Actually, no, they just joined from underneath, sorry, but from the back of the car. Either way, it still looks absolutely wonderful. Joseph Smith just the last car out in this session now, as we're going to get a lot of the pro drivers making their way to the end of the pit lane in just a minute. Joseph's done a personal best in sectors 1 and 3, currently 1.4 seconds off the fastest time in class set by Dean Timms. It's not a personal best sector 4. There's 6 sectors on this circuit. Apologies, Don. I thought this BMW was a V8 engine. For a long time they've been V8s, you see, and it is right. It's a 3-litre straight 6. That'll be why it makes a weird noise then. Haha. Love it. Says the commentator that pretends to know everything. There you go then, 6th place for Joseph Smith. Gets within a second of Dean Timms' time in the Pro-Am class. And he manages to set a time just over 2 minutes, 2 minutes 0.39. Joseph will inevitably pull the car over, hopefully not hitting the wall in doing so. And then we're going to get all of our pro drivers lined up. Look at all this lot here. All of them ready to go. Daniel Tenorio there at the front of the queue in the number 17 Ferrari, the Twisted Racing machine. He's ready to get going now. I think with these guys, we've got a good 12 of them ready to get out there. Mainly Ferraris and Lamborghinis, actually. There's 4 Lamborghinis. Dave Meneno, Ryan Kaprowski, Lyndon Lee, and Wilson Brewer, all driving the Lambos. The glorious 5.2-litre V10. And I apologise, it was actually James Pearce at the front of the queue. Daniel Tenorio was the 3rd car in line. Let's have a look at some Lambos, shall we, when they come out, because we've not seen any of them yet. Here's Dave Meneno. And that glorious sound. Completely unmistakable noise. There's another Audi out there as well, which is John Cooper in the Turn Burn Moto machine, with his logo at the bottom of the screen there as well. Obviously the Audi and the Lamborghini running pretty similar chassis, similar engines. That wonderful 5.2-litre V10, hell of an engine. Here's the Riddle Rocket Racing machine. You'd think they were some sort of Ukrainian display team, wouldn't you? With the liveries on their cars. Certainly like the liveries though. It's great to see teammates in such a uniform like that. It's one of my favourite things in motorsport when you get to see them like this. Listen to the pops and bangs out of the back of that Lamborghini. There was a car off there as well, actually. On the side of the road, that was the BMW of Alex Traber. What a great sounding machine. I think you have a point there, actually, Don. I was pretty sure that the M6 GT3 was a V8, though, was it not? But again, it made a weird noise, so it was probably in a straight 6. Anyway, who is the closest to starting their lap? I think Tyler Campbell, actually, in the FTR esports machine, is the one closest to getting this going. There might even have been a car ahead of him, actually, just on circuit. Either way, Ferrari comes out the final corner now, lights it up on the exit, and down the straight we go. There is indeed a car just ahead of us over there. Quite sure who that is, actually. Either way, this is the very scary turns 1 and 2 at Suzuka. When you're in a mid-engined or rear-engine car, it really wants to overtake you as you go through there. The back end tries to just get into turn 2 before you do. And balancing a GT3 car up this hill is not easy at all. I've raced in plenty of GT3 leagues around here using this phenomenal circuit, the slippery Japanese tarmac, all of the elevation of Suzuka. Tyler certainly knows what he's doing at the moment. Plenty of curve there out of the second Degner. And up towards the hairpin he goes. Nice and smooth on the power on the exit. Aha, I'm actually glad I got the M6 fact right. I commentated on the real world Nürburgring 24 hours in 2020. I was grateful enough to actually be flown out there to go and commentate on it in person. And I had a good look round the eventual race-winning car as well, the number 99 Row Racing BMW. Or it might have been the 98 car. Seems like a long time ago now. But being able to walk around the garages and see teams like that up close was pretty phenomenal. Tyler Campbell makes his way through 130R though. Nice and smoothly. It's James Pearce, I'm pretty sure, that's just ahead. Yes, it is. He has continued on at the front of the pack and will be the first pro driver to put a time down. 1:59.4 is the fastest at the moment. A 1:58.2 by James Pearce. That is quick. Tyler Campbell 3/10 slower than that. Let's see where else the times come in. Tenorio 6/10 down on his teammate for Twisted Racing. We still wait for Harry Wills. Jonathan Ouellette. No team to his name for this series. 4th fastest at the moment. Loving the livery. It reminds me of a team that I'm good friends with that used to run cars that look like that, called Boosted. I think it was Boosted Motorsport. And we've got Cooper and Kropowski 5th and 6th at the moment, but Kropowski I don't think putting in a representative time. Some 2 seconds off the fastest time of James Pearce. On board with the Lamborghini Huracan. I have to raise my voice slightly because of how noisy this thing is. Feels like a heavy old wagon when you're inside it here, doesn't it? The Lambo looks like a really compact, chunky car. It doesn't look like a lightweight machine. It looks heavy. It's like a tank, isn't it? It looks like you couldn't kill it with a stick, but it just looks really stiff and really compressed. Whereas something like your Audi, it looks nice and skinny and streamlined. It's got that skinny backside to it. It's certainly skipped leg day, I think you could say. But at the moment, it's all for Ferraris, which, let's face it, they're Ferraris. There's not really too much you can say about them. They just are Ferraris. You don't argue with it. 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th at the minute. Then, of course, the effectively German counterparts trying to catch up. Waiting for more time to come on the board. Not seen a time yet from Alex Schreiber in the FTR Esports BMW M4. Teammates, of course, with the man that currently sits second, Tyler Campbell. Oh, a bit wide through Spoon Curve. I think that might have been an incident point. That might not have counted for him. Still hard on the power. Back up the hill we go. In towards 130R. Let's see how much of a lift we get. Not too much of a lift. He was a bit hesitant getting back on the throttle again, but still pushing very hard indeed is Alex right now. Into the Casio Triangle, nice and smoothly over the first curb, nice and smoothly over the second. Doesn't let it run out too wide on the right-hand side through the final corner, but he hugs the wall all the way around that final corner. What does he put on the board? No time at all, actually. Kaprowski is 8th fastest in class in the Lamborghini. Wilson Brewer is 7th, and that is going to round out the session for those guys by the look of it. So James Pearce with an absolute corker of a lap time, 158.26, just beats Harry Wills to it by 19 thousandths of a second. That is very, very close indeed. I'll admit I missed when Harry put that time on the board. Tyler Campbell and Jonathan Ouellette very close together as well. Daniel Tenorio will be 5th on the grid. So for now, I believe that we will be taking a few minutes break. Either that or we're going to be getting cars back out on the circuit again. But to be honest, it looks like it's about that time where we head towards the race session. They are going to do a mock race, and then we'll be able to look at a grid for you. Now, we potentially could get the results from qualifying, but obviously the session hasn't finished yet. So if you bear with me for a few minutes, everybody, we're going to get over and get ready for the race session. So just give me a few minutes, and I'll be right back with you at Suzuka with the rest of tonight's coverage. I'll see you in a few. Okay, everybody, we're just loading into the session now. We just should be about 2 more minutes, and then we'll get you some more on-track action. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here on Absolute Sim Racing at Suzuka for the very first session this season in the Race Anywhere World Series. What we're going to have right now then is a race which will set us up for the very first grid of the season. So this is effectively the media night. We've had qualifying so far, which has set the grid for this race. And the result of this race will be the grid for race 1 next week. You with me? So, right now, the guys are just out in their warm-up session. It's only a 10-minute warm-up, so just a few minutes just to get some slight information from the circuit, at least just chuck a few corners together, get a bit of an insight to how the track is, what the temperature's like, and then we can get racing. So, in terms of the guys at the front of the order, it was Mr. James Pearce that put it right at the top. Tyler Campbell's going to try and chase him in his FTR Esports Ferrari. It was very, very close in the Pro-Ams as well, and of course in the AM class. No times on the board really at the moment. John Casey is a driver that has completed at least a lap, but his first one didn't seem to count. This is the 046 Porsche 911 GT3R, of course the GT3 counterpart, not to be confused with the 911 GT3 Cup 992, which is not a GT3 car despite being named as one, but of course that is just the way that Porsche name it. This thing makes a hell of a racket as well. It's flat 6, 4 litre flat 6 engine, revving to some 9,000 RPM in most instances. Up against the Ferrari there, the number 94 car, trying to go around the outside, not making it work. That's Jay Steffi in the Q3 Sim Sport Ferrari. Q3 machine, certainly a good looking car. Here's Daniel Tenorio and the rest of the Twisted Racing gang. They've got a humongous Cato on the side of the car, and Twisted just written in Comic Sans. So clearly the guys don't take themselves too seriously. To be honest, I think it looks great. Just a solid white coloured Ferrari. Looks very tasty indeed. Three of them out there. Errol Urixoy is in the other twisted team. Brent Bravata is another one of the Ferraris. So there's actually four of them. I thought there was only the three. Flipping heck. They keep multiplying. Jeremy Littleton is out there in this beautiful Martini Ferrari. I'm never really sure whether I agree if liveries that never actually raced on a certain car should be on them, but Martini colours always do look quite striking, don't they? Logan Vida in the big cow BMW back out there. We have Daniel Davis in the Forge Racing Ferrari. Another very striking livery, but everyone here seems to really like black, red and white liveries, don't they? Except, of course, for Riddle Rocket Racing. The Ukrainians, as I'm going to call them, because I'm quite the aviation nerd. And the Ukrainian Air Force used to have a display pair of MiG-29s a long time ago, and a lot of their aircraft in their Air Force actually look like this. They have this sort of colour scheme on them. It's like a light blue camouflage, and they always carry their country's flags, the blue and the yellow. And Dean Tim's in the chat saying that they're waiting for the official livery for the Ferrari. That's probably makes sense as to why. Daniel Florea here with the pink wheels on his car, number 20 machine. 10 seconds left of the session then, and we're about to get things underway. The very first race of the season on what is effectively media night. Checkered flag is out. Barney dusting it off against the wall, getting ready for these guys to provide a lot of entertainment around this wonderful almost 6-kilometre circuit. We'll fade out the music because, let's face it, you don't really need that anymore. We're going to have our very own music in the form of these cars. So let's look through your grid then. James Pearce will start at the very front of it on pole position. He's alongside Harry Wills. Tyler Campbell and Jonathan Ouellette then make up row 2. And behind them we have Daniel Tenorio and John Cooper. Wilson Brewer is 7th, ahead of Ryan Koprovsky, with Alex Trebor, Dave Meneno and Jeremy Littleton rounding out your pro drivers. Then it's Dean Timms and Errol Urixoy ahead of Jay Steffi and Casey Metzger. Joseph Smith and Brent Bravata make up row 3. Eric Kulaga is 7th, ahead of Logan Vida. Michael Kulaga is the last driver there in the Pro-Am class. Andrew Rasmussen, or PA Andrew Rasmussen, should be in the same class as those guys, but clearly is not. It seems to have put him in his own class. He's actually in the middle of those guys, but the league, for some reason, it's changed his name. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute, because right behind them we have the AM drivers. Michael Fowler is the head of that pack, ahead of Donald Malcolm, Travis Kepler and Daniel Florea. Then it's Matthew Placence, Jason Bridges, Justin Delano and Drew Newbuyer. Then we have John Casey and Tom Cornett rounding out your 10, with Daniel Davis and Stephen Martinez at the back of the grid. So then, everybody, who is your money on? Because it could be anybody's, really. It's not easy to get it right around Suzuka. It is a big, big challenge, this place. Excuse the timing there for updating on the left-hand side. But it's going to be James Pearce that's going to lead us away here. He's just about to complete the formation lap. What is a very short, very quick formation lap here. That's what I was thinking, Royal Kebab. Ukrainian Sukhois or MiG-29s, they tend to paint them quite similar, don't they? I've touched the Ukrainian flanker. There you go. There's a flex. Anyway, James Pearce is hoping to flex right now. He's got to wait a long time down the straight for the pros to get underway, but they do, and the very first race of the season in the Race Anywhere World Series is a go. It's a very tidy start for our pro drivers down through turn 1. There they are in flying formation, the Riddle Rocket Racing Lamborghini /flankers. Here come the Pro-Ams. Dean Timms leading them away. Although Jeremy Littleton actually seeming to... No, it is Dean Timms, apologies. His livery, for some reason, seeming all skew-whiff and all over the show. Either that or it's some sort of stealth variant. Oh, it's around goes Errol Urixoy, ends up twisted in the barrier. We've got our AM drivers underway as well. And it's Michael Fowler leading these guys. Donald Malcolm, Travis Kepler, Daniel Florea, Matthew Plaisance, who we're looking at here. Justin Delano and Jason Bridges having a bit of a scrap there as well. Sounds like a car's around. It's another one. John Casey this time. Sliding all the way around. The pro drivers up at the sharp end, just coming out of the hairpin. This is Jeremy Littleton. Bottom of the pile at the moment with Alex Traber in front of him, but James Pearce leads them overall. And there's been some big old shenanigans, I think, further down. Big old shenanigans at the Degner. That's Donald Malcolm off the road. Daniel Florea, I think, potentially involved in that one. He seemed to move around a lot in the timing screens. Daniel third place, though, in his class right now. John Cooper going through 130R for the first time. It's almost contact behind. That's Daniel Tenorio, and he's all out of shape. Oh, and he does get collected. Well, how John Cooper managed to carry on there, I do not know, but there was certainly some argy-bargy and some shenanigans going on. We'll go on board with the Audi because right now we've got a lot of V10 company on our right-hand side. That's Wilson Brewer just in front of him. He's got Koprovsky here somewhere. He's going to come down the inside. There he goes. They all try and slot into position together. He's got another Lamborghini behind him, Dave Meneno, in the SRT Esport machine, then the FTR Esports machine. Going there with him. Dean Timms leads the Pro-Ams from Jace Steffi, Casey Metzger, Joseph Smith, Andrew Rasmussen, Brent Bravata and Eric Kulaga. Let's just have another look, though, at what happened to Daniel Tenorio. You can see the Lamborghini comes through. He straightens up to try and squeeze him, and it just doesn't pay off. And he does clip both sides of the Audi. Not exactly what you want to do. It's close at the front, though, you know. James Pearce is only half a second ahead of Harry Wills, and then Tyler Campbell. And then just behind them, Jonathan Ouellette, in one of the other twisted machines, is right with them. Brent Bravata's actually been off and had a proper off as well. This is in the Pro-Ams. Oh, just clips the grass with the left rear. Is he going to make it a very long-standing 360? He is not. But he's going to try and recover as best he can. But this top four breaking away currently is 4.3 seconds back to Wilson Brewer and the rest of the V10 gang, with the BMW of Alex Treber and Jeremy Littleton's Ferrari watching on from just behind. It's very easy to lose the back end of these mid-engine supercar-based GT cars around places like 130R, especially if they run a low downforce setup. We've got issues further down. Jace Steffi has just been off the road and come back on. Not quite sure what happened to Jay. Let's have a look. We'll go on board with him. Oh, he's already around at this point. So he's already had the spin. Well, apologies. Just having a bit of an issue with our replays there. This has been happening today, actually. If I go from one replay to the other, it seems like we do have a bit of a problem. Oh, just a bit too quick into spoon curve. And that really did not want to play ball there on the brakes, did it? He was lucky not to get collected by anybody else. But the car really not wanting to play ball. This is a phenomenal scrap, though. These guys here all together. Alex Treber at the back of this has got Dave Meneno having a go at John Cooper in the bright purple Audi R8 just in front of him. Look at the way they snake through the Degners. Oh, wow, as well. No snaking through anything there for John Cooper. Big, big off. The car snaps one way, then the other. I was just saying about losing the back end of these things, wasn't I? Time for another replay. Into the Degner on the brakes. Back end starts to go. Just overcorrects it. It got a lot of grip underneath it there as he went through the banked second Degner. The car just spat him back around. It's a real, real shame. And the wing on that car not looking too healthy. Now this is the battle for the lead here between these pair. James Pearce and Harry Wills, who wants to use every single bit of the road that he can. Harry trying to stay as close as possible in this early stage. Wants to get past quite soon. if he's got the pace on his side, he may as well try and open up a gap. But look at that there, James Pearce gets a very, very nice run out of the Casio triangle. And down the straight, he's got nothing in the locker. Michael Fowler is currently leading in the AM class, as you see on the left-hand side. A healthy 5-second gap to Matthew Plaisance, who's then got his teammate Justin Delano behind, then Daniel Florea, then Jason Bridges. The only Mercedes in the field as well, Jason Bridges. It's great to see that. The High-Side Hustlers motorsport machine. Now that's a big thunderous V8 that you want. 6.3 litre V8 engine in this Mercedes. I believe the later cars are now the 4 litre V8. Smaller, big, hefty, powerful block. Now, there has been more shenanigans, I'm afraid, further back with Alex Traber in his BMW. This is down into turn 1. I said further back, I mean further back in the race, as in a moment ago. You could see it was hesitant into turn 1 and 2. Slams on the brakes though, gets it stopped. Nice stuff. Now, I will apologise in advance. We are going on board for pretty much all of our replays because there have been a few replay issues with our software this evening. It's been across the whole board, I think, for SDK. Nothing that's really their fault. It's just one of these things. Their software does a hell of a lot, and it does a hell of a lot for us. It seems there's a slight conflict at the moment if we have a replay on a TV camera. So, cut short, we're going to be on board for most replays. But then again, you get to see exactly what happens from the driver's eye view. So these two continue to fight. There's still a fight going on here in the Pro-Ams as well. This is Casey Metzger in second place. Andrew Rasmussen is just behind him. But Daniel Tenorio, interestingly, is there. The pro driver in the middle of their class. So he needs to make sure it doesn't get too involved. We've got a number of drivers all having issues here and having accidents and all sorts. Errol Urixoy, Joseph Smith, Andrew Newbuyer have all had problems, but we need to wait for that because Harry Wills has just taken the race lead down the inside into turn 1. Very, very close with James Pearce. The two of them nose to tail out of turn 2. And Harry's Twisted Racing team, Audi R8 LMS GT3, now leads the race. Can he hold it though? James Pearce's Ferrari wiggling around all over the back of him. So, so close. Still not able to change that back. Right then, let's have a quick look at what happened to Drew Newbuyer. Team Premat BMW into the first Degner. Seemed a bit hesitant on the brakes. All is fine. That looks a bit too hot. And just as he stabbed the brakes a bit harder than he originally wanted to, he's had to then put it off the road to get out of the way. Here's what happened to Joseph Smith. Apologies. No, it's not, because we can't go from one replay to the next. This is what happened to Joseph Smith. Another Team Premat BMW into Spoon Curve. It's going, gone. Wow, very suddenly gone as well for Joseph Smith. Car goes around very, very quickly. Errol Urixoy then had a problem with Joseph Smith as well. This is Errol. Is it going to be the same incident? It is. It's practically the same incident. Just a bit less of a spin. And there's been even more dramas. So we are going to keep going through these. We've got a catalogue of it. Drew Newbuyer. Again, he's just got going after his previous spin. Oh, and he's gone in a bit too hot for there as well, unfortunately. That's not how you want to do that, is it, Drew? Let's have a look at Travis Kepler. Harry Wills still leads the race, by the way. Oh my goodness, there's lots of them. Another one going around. This BMW is not having a good day, is it? Look, Joseph Smith's also had another one. Wow, this BMW. What is going on with it, man? Oh, now Joseph's been tapped there. He's been hit. There's another car involved. Jay Steffi was the other car involved in that one. We'll have a look and see how that went from Jay's point of view. Gets onto the right-hand side. He's on the curb. Not enough room left there, I'm afraid, by Joseph Smith. So, for the drivers that have survived so far, we have Harry Wills, James Pearce and Tyler Campbell, the top three in the Pro class. Dean Timms leads the way in Pro-Am. Casey Metzger and Andrew Rasmussen right together for second and third. And there's just been a change for second place in the AMs as Daniel Florea goes through with his chrome magenta wheels into second place. Matthew Plaisance is now down to third. Michael Fowler, though, only just in front of them. So top three in that class, nice and close together. This is also close together further down. Three different German manufacturers and the three big German Titan manufacturers as well. BMW, Mercedes and Porsche. This is Jason Bridges in the Mercedes. Donald Malcolm just in front in the Porsche. And then Travis Kepler. We've had an issue for James Pearce. The man that was originally in the lead and then down to second has binned it into Spoon Curve. The car's fine. He's going to clip the Astro. Yep. Honestly, if I had a quid, a quid or a dollar, as you lot might say, for every time I've seen that, I would be a very rich man. Just running a little bit too hot into Spoon Curve can have massive consequences when all you do is just clip that gravel. Now let's listen to a proper race car, shall we? Jason Bridges in the monstrous V8 Mercedes AMG GT3. The first iteration of this GT3 car. Of course, there has been a pair of facelifts since, one more severe than the other. Look at the way he's got it oversteering because of all the really big, hefty V8 lump in the front end of it. You really need to set this car up to have a lot of front end bite and let the rear end come along for the ride. You almost have it set up as if it is a mid-engine car. Try and put all the weight towards the rear, really swing it around. Jason currently 9th in his class at the moment, 14 seconds off their class leader, Mr. Fowler. Now, out of the 9 cars that share the top 3 positions in each class, only 2 of them are not Ferraris at the moment, and they are both Audis. Harry Wills and Andrew Rasmussen flying the flag for the Audis currently. Now this is a battle for position, this. John Cooper looking back at Daniel Tenorio and the Ferrari. These guys have both chopped down due to their own little incidents. But now they find themselves together in amongst a bunch of the Pro-Am drivers. So how will traffic potentially affect this one? Towards Spoon Curve, John's still just holding on in the very bright purple machine. But look how close they get to the AstroTurf. Some of them do touch it, but just the way that they've got the car settled by the time they do touch it means that it doesn't go around on them. It's very easy to just overdo it and try and ask a little bit too much of the car and it will spit you around. Michael Fowler leading the AMs has got his teammate right behind him. Daniel Florea needing to be a bit careful there. Now Daniel, I think, may have a run here on his teammate. Go on board with him. We head up the hill. Now you can hear him lifting off. Maybe a bit of fuel saving going on there for Daniel. Now the car in front of Michael is actually Errol Yuriksoy in the BMW. That is for overall position, but not for a position, of course, in their class. And you can physically see he's holding them up currently. These two twisted racing Ferraris determined to get through. Another lap in the books though at Suzuka. The leaders are currently on their 8th lap. And we should get quite a lot of laps out of this one. 1 hour and 15 minutes, an hour left of this race. Just trying to find the closest man on track really to the car in front of him is actually Drew Newbuyer at the moment, chasing down Tom Cornett. 2 BMWs together. I've seen a lot of spins from the BMW here at Suzuka, so hopefully none of the same here. That's Drew down the inside. And through he goes. That's 2 Team Premac drivers. Team Premac and Team Premac Red. Obviously also waiting for their official livery as such. It's certainly calmed down a little bit now in the race. There's still battles going on though. Tyler Campbell has got Jonathan Ouellette right behind him. There you go, quarter of a second between the two. Jonathan's going to try and close in using the slipstream down the straight. Moves over to the right-hand side, does Tyler. Tries to block it off as best he can. All the way over to the left. Tries to get around the outside, Jonathan does. That was brave. Just touches the AstroTurf. It over-rotates the car, but in a way that he wants it to. Really points the front end in at the apex. Now look, he's trying to just hang back a little bit and use some sort of cutback. He's waiting, taking a later apex than Tyler. He's just reacting to how Tyler's driving the corner right now. It's one of the best things about being the chasing driver. You can just react to what the guy in front of you is doing. Jonathan getting everything right at the moment. Jason Bridges has had an issue, and John Cooper also going off the road. We'll have to have a look at that. This is what happened to Jason Bridges. Mercedes. Does he get any help? No, he's gone into sprint curve. Astro? Yep. Again. Just that AstroTurf is an absolute nightmare for them. John Cooper's been off track, by the way, and been back off again afterwards. So we'll stick with this. This is the Audi. He's going to clip the gravel. Oh, no. Now, it was already a bit damaged anyway from the overcorrection earlier. And he waits for cars to go through, which is good stuff. Nice, sensible patience there by John. And he crawls the Audi back. I'll have to try and get a look at it. See what is left of it now. Doesn't look too much more beaten up than it did before, but I think you and I all know that that is not a very healthy Audi R8, is it? He's still pushing it around though. He's still trying to get something out of it. As is Tyler Campbell. He's trying to just get rid of that Ferrari there behind him, Jonathan Ouellette, but it's not working. Down the inside, Jonathan looks. Nothing doing there either. It's not really like Tyler's defending that hard at the moment. He's just driving his line, and Jonathan's just not got anywhere easy enough to go straight through. But all of this is helping Harry Wills, because his lead gap now is 5.2 seconds over this pair. And he will be more than happy to keep it at that. Lead gap in Pro-Am is 3.6 seconds. Lead gap in the Am class, though, around half a second, 0.6 of a second. Not too much between Daniel Florea and Michael Fowler. There it is. Two teammates at Twisted Racing, though, so you wouldn't expect them to have too much of a strong fight with each other. They're just going to keep trying to run their race at the moment and get as much pace as they can out of the car. Just checking some of the lap times. There's only two drivers actually that went under 2 minutes on that last lap, and that was Harry Wills, race leader, with a 1:59.90, and Dave Meneno in the number 5 SRT Esport Lamborghini did a 1:59.92. That's his fastest lap of the race as well. So he is on a charge. So too is Brent Bravata. He is attacking Michael Kulaga right now. Oh, quite literally drives into the back of Kulaga. I don't think he expected him to be going that slowly there on the apex of the hairpin. And there's been a change. Jonathan Ouellette has got past Tyler Campbell. Let's have a look at this. Through the chicane, tries a cutback. Nice tidy stuff. Very, very tidy indeed. But Tyler, of course, gets the slipstream down the straight, comes back at him. Doesn't quite work. Be careful on the Astro there, Tyler. It's now car 3, P3, but some 6 seconds off the race leader, Harry Wills. These two back at it. Bravata down the inside of Kulaga. Makes Kulaga back out of it. Brent Bravata muscles his way through without any physical contact that time round. Now I'm wondering whether Jonathan Ouellette is going to disappear away from Tyler Campbell right now. Jonathan's very, very quick, it seems. quite funny actually. We've got car 2 P2, car 3 P3 and car 5 P5 at the moment. I don't spot any other themes at all. Car 27 is in P26, so he's nearly there. But no other themes for that. But these are the two closest cars on track right now, Tyler Campbell and Jonathan Ouellette, but in the other order. Daniel Tenorio has just been off the road and he's lost a place to Andrew Rasmussen. Let's have a look at what happened here. Oh, a bit too hot up the hill. Whoa. You really don't want to go off there. That's a really good save by Daniel Tenorio. Hats off, Sunshine. Nicely held that. Usually, you'd end up going in a wall if you do that anywhere else. Now, James Pearce, who lost a bit of ground earlier, the man who qualified on pole position, starting to catch back up with Tyler Campbell and Jonathan Ouellette. And you'd expect that too. We know how quick James is, he's proved it. But we still have a long old way to go in this race right now. There should be pit stops based on the fuel that these guys have. But it's an Audi leading the way from a multitude of Ferraris currently. I've not had too much feedback in the way of info about how this GT3 Evo version of the Ferrari drives. I can't imagine it's too different to the old one, really. Certainly looks a slight bit more aggressive. But of course it's all the reworked data. Apparently some changes to aerodynamics as well based on the original car. And I know that the exhausts are a different shape. On the original car they were perfectly round. On this they're some sort of weird oval squashed funnel shape. But visually there's not really much more to it than that, I'm not going to lie to you. We've had a few problems here, a couple of drivers running wide, going off. Tom Cornett and Jeremy Littleton have both had a bit of a problem. This is Jeremy Littleton into spin curve, AstroTurf. There's whoa behind him there. I think that was Tom Cornett trying to avoid him in the BMW, making the mistake. We've got Ryan Kaprowski off the road as well. Whoa, braking on the AstroTurf into the Degnus. Is he going to hit a wall? No, he is not. Nice save. Nice save indeed, Sunshine. Now look at this. This has become a three-way fight now because James Pearce is suddenly on the back of these two and he's going to get a demon run in the slipstream. I don't think he's going to catch them, but it's certainly going to bring him right back up to them. And by me saying he's not going to catch them, I mean he's not going to get right up with them. Look at the way these cars move up there. Just love watching, just sitting on board with these things. Sometimes you just think about the fact that this is all sim racing as well. I mean, it sounds very boomer-like to say, "Oh, it looks real," but it just does, doesn't it? There's no other way of sugarcoating it or saying anything else. When you ride on board with these things and you see it like that, it is awesome to watch. Daniel Tenorio, unfortunately, has jumped back to the pits. He's had one too many spins for his own liking there. And that is into the Casio Triangle. Not long after that, he jumped to the pits, and he is still there now. There's big damage on... Whose Ferrari is that there? I think that is Daniel. Yes, it is Daniel's Ferrari. He's got a lot of damage on it, actually, so I think he's probably had a bigger issue than that. Let's try and see what happened here. So that's the slide from earlier on. I didn't think it had that much damage on it there, so not quite sure where all that damage has come from for Daniel Tenorio. John Casey's had a problem in the Porsche. Into Spoon Curve. A bit hesitant on the way in. Is it just going to slowly... Yep, on the downshift. The Porsche does this. The Porsche really slowly and painfully slides around and floats about on the downshift. Very, very frustrating. Now we continue to wait. Look at all the Ferraris on the timing tower on the left-hand side. We've only got 2 BMWs, a Lamborghini and an Audi on there, really, that aren't Ferraris. This is still going on. These two pushing each other about. Pierce now ahead of Campbell. I thought for a second there that it was Jonathan Ouellette, but nope. He's ahead of Campbell. And these two have had a really, really good fight. Dean Timms is on his way into the pits after 26 3/4 minutes of racing. Maybe Dean going for an early stop. Now these 4 are for position. These 5, you could say, are for position. Donald Malcolm and then the 4 Ferraris ahead of him, all for position in the AM class. Daniel Florea under attack here from Matthew Placence in the number 9 Eclipse Racing Esports Ferrari, but into the pits goes Florea. Into the pits comes Daniel Davis as well. A number of them making their stops about now, so surely this must be around the time where fuel starts to become an issue. Harry Wills running a little bit deep there into Spoon Curve as well. Just trying to see if there's any other close battles. We have Alex Traber on the back of Ryan Koprowski, who uses all of the Astro and some more there on the outside of Spoon Curve. Look how big the BMW looks in comparison to the Audi. It looks like a very small, sleek machine, doesn't it? He's flashing his lights at him, is Alex. Trying everything to get him out of the way. They'll do anything, these guys. Pierce, Ouellette and Campbell into the pits then. All 3 of them together. No, that's Dave Menino going past Chad. Here they are then, on their way into their respective pit boxes. Suddenly they'll all sort of fade over to the right-hand side. I like that they turned in properly like you would in the real world, rather than sort of driving all the way down through each other's pit crews and so on, if they were there. Jay Steffi just coming into Spoon Curve. He's got Donald Malcolm just in front of him, but that is not for position. Jay is in the Pro-Am class. His next target is Dean Timms, who is 4 cars ahead of him, 6.8 seconds up the road. And Jonathan Ouellette, James Pierce and Tyler Campbell have all come out of the pit lane in the order that they went in. Dean Timms goes past Justin Delano as he goes into the pits. Michael Fowler, our AM class leader, carrying on for now. It's another lap for the number 54 Twisted Racing Team machine. Ferrari looking nice and tidy so far as he makes his way up the hill. We've had a purple sector 3 for James Pierce on that previous lap before he came in, so James clearly able to keep the pace in the car as his stint goes on. We've got Jonathan Ouellette not very close for some reason. Jonathan's just overtaken his teammate Casey Metzger. Casey is 4th overall, leading the Pro-Am category at the moment. Well, Jonathan Ouellette's pit stop was 13 seconds, 7 seconds less than James Pierce and Tyler Campbell. Race leader Harry Wills is into the pits. Some people would call that a fix because he's one of the series admins. Dave Menino in as well. I think these guys might have actually been told to sort of do that thing where they drive over to the right last second. I quite like that, if they have. It is really, really cool when you get a series together and a bunch of guys that do listen to the admins and, you know, they pay attention to the details of these sorts of things. Really adds to the viewing experience, adds to the immersion of it all. So half an hour through this race now then. Not half distance yet though. And all of the spammers have arrived in the YouTube chat. Michael Fowler and Michael Kulaga into the pits. Now this is Jonathan Ouellette ahead of Harry Wills, so this is on merit right now. As on merit as it can be for pitting for 7 seconds less than everyone else. But I imagine Harry Wills is probably quite surprised to see Jonathan Ouellette in front of him like that. But Jonathan has managed to get out in front of him in just the right amount of distance, just where it'll probably wind Harry up a little bit here, because if he can hold him up and doesn't quite have the pace, then it'll affect Harry's race in the long run. So this is an important moment right now as this race goes on. Jonathan just needs to make sure that he doesn't crumble under the pressure that Harry's going to put him under here. Because Harry certainly does love to have a go. Look at that, Jonathan hanging all the way around the outside. He's making sure he's got the inside of the spoon curve, is he? No, he's let Harry go. Two teammates, of course, at Twisted Racing. But I expected Jonathan there to have a big fight with him. But no. We've got this fight further on down, though. Donald Malcolm in the blue Porsche there, just ahead of Daniel Davis in the Forge Racing Machine. And then behind him, the Q3 SimSport Ferrari, another black and red design. Chasing down the black and red and white Ferrari in front of it. Fowler still leads the way in the AM class. He's got Errol Yuriksoy in the Twisted BMW just behind, but obviously not a threat in terms of his class position. If we do go back to Jay Steffi, actually, in the Q3 Ferrari, this train of 5 cars in front of him is 4 AM drivers that are fighting for position, and then another Pro-Am driver in the mix, which is that Ferrari there, Michael Kulaga, who's actually going slowly and dropping back a few places. Jay isn't fighting these guys for position. He's fighting that number 83 Ferrari for position, though. So he needs to focus on that. The rest of them are having their own fight at the AM class. Do they let him go? Do they carry on going forward? What do you do in this scenario? I imagine it's a nightmare. But right now, Matthew Playsense has got Donald Malcolm behind him. Stephen Martinez just in front. We've not seen too much of Stephen or the Vulture boys so far in this race. Apologies to them for that. Eric Kulaga, the highest placed of the Vulture cars currently. He's 4th in class in Pro-Am. Some 6 seconds off Logan Vida, 1.5 seconds ahead of Brent Bravata. Maybe slightly more than 1.5 seconds now, I'm afraid. Big old slide into turn 2 for Brent there, but again, if we had a quid for every time we've seen that. Tom Cornett has been off the track big time here. Something has happened to Tom, and that looks like some sort of hardware issue with the car blinking in and out like that. Oh, he's just gone too hot into the S's, and oops, suddenly, yep, that's the car blinking in and out there, you see. And suddenly it is gone. Now, if you forgive me for 2 seconds, I'm going to just try something out, because I think we may have had a breakthrough with our replays. Yes, we do. So, replays now suddenly working again. Awesome news. Thank you, SDK, for getting fixed so quickly. Whoa, big step out there from Brent Bravata. It seems like we can have TV camera replays now, so we can see everything from the outside of the cars as well as having it on the inside. I like to be honest with you viewers of my streams. I want to make sure that you know exactly why I'm doing something if it seems a little bit out of the blue or a bit strange. I always want to make sure that you get the best view and the best information. John Casey, and well, we've had a few cars actually have incidents. Justin Delano. Oh no, never mind. It looks like the replays aren't working. Oh, typical me, that, isn't it? Typical me. I had to do it. I had to do it. So let's have a look at what happens to Justin Delano. He's had an off. Turns 1 and 2. Turns it in again. Back end tries to go out. Back end tries to go out again. And around it goes for Justin. That is not the way you want it to go. John Casey also had a problem. So too did Errol Uricksoy, and I believe Errol is just behind us while this is going on. John's gone a bit too hot into Spoon Curve. And did Errol Uricksoy go off as well? He did, look, there you go. Just a couple of meters further down the road. Still battles going on further down, but this is between Pro-Am and Am drivers. None of them really helping each other in this scenario, but then again, when have you ever gone into a race just to help somebody else? It's not quite how it works in motorsport, is it? It's a competitive sport. You don't all go out there to help each other. Ryan Koprowski has now had an issue, it seems. I may have to have a look at what happened there. This is on the way into Spoon Curve. Just, again, the AstroTurf. Again, the AstroTurf. And that is all it takes to have a big old problem. Michael Kulaga, 6th in Pro-Am at the moment. Harry Wills, though, still under pressure for this overall race lead. Jonathan Ouellette sticking with him at the moment. He is the only driver to have a pit stop under 13 seconds. Actually, I correct myself. Jason Bridges is the only other driver to have a pit stop under 20 seconds. And it was 13 seconds for Jonathan Ouellette. It was some 19 seconds for Jason Bridges. So, whatever Jonathan's done, I'm not sure. Matthew Plaisance has gone straight on at chicane, comes back on the circuit, chucks cones at everybody. Have to have a look at what happened to Matthew here. We get a wider view of it. Oh, just gets a tiny tap off the number 36 Porsche for a second there. Jason Bridges has also had a problem. He's gone off the circuit just as we left him. That's through 130R. Into the chicane. Maybe just a little bit too hot. Yes, indeed. And whoop. Manages to catch it quite nicely, though. But still, we need to have a quick rundown then. So Harry Wills at the moment leads from Jonathan Ouellette. James Pearce is in 3rd place, a couple of seconds behind them. Then in the background you have David Meneno and Tyler Campbell in the Lamborghini, then the Ferrari. Dean Timms. Oh, now that's Alex Traber in big trouble, or treble. Let's have a quick look at what happened to Alex here. Through 130R, clips the AstroTurf once and then again. Oh, that's a very, very big off through there. That is a very, very big off. You don't have small accidents at 130R. But Dean Timms, as I was going to say, excuse me, leads the way in Pro-Am. Casey Metzger is currently 2nd at the moment, and Logan Vida is 3rd in the Cow/Chicken. There used to be a TV show called Cow and Chicken, didn't there? Michael Fowler leads the AM class, still 2.1 seconds ahead of Daniel Florea, and then Stephen Martinez is next up. His next rival in class is Donald Malcolm, who's got this absolute train of cars all around him. He's got Michael Kulaga just in front of him. He's got Jay Steffi trying to go down the inside of him for overall position. He's not letting him have it easy. Into the chicane, though. Now he needs to be careful because that Ferrari there is Daniel Davis, and that is for position, and so too is Justin Delano. These guys all fighting together for this. Let's keep our eye on this then. Oh, boys, be careful. You don't need to move over on each other on a straight line. It doesn't make sense. You don't need to do it. It doesn't gain you anything. One of my main bugbear in motorsport. Moving over in a straight line. You just do not need to do it, boys. Look. Why do it? That could have been a massive, massive accident. They're very, very lucky that it wasn't. Very, very lucky that it wasn't. Apologies, guys. We need to just go back to a replay very quickly. And then back to this again, just to get things working. Part of the replay issues that good old Chaz seems to keep forgetting about. But the thing is, when you are slipstreaming people, you know, fine. Feel free to sort of move one way then the other to defend, but if the car's alongside you, just stay in a straight line. You know what I mean? Just stay in a straight line. You don't gain anything by moving left or right on somebody. You could try and squeeze them to the inside or something, yeah, sure, but you could just cause an incident, and there is not really anything that means you need to do it that badly. Michael Kulaga 6th, still with Jay Steffi right behind him. He's lost 3 places from where he started. But he's not having a bad race, that's for sure. Through 130R once again we go. Hard onto the brakes they go. Listen to that Porsche making a hell of a noise. I should probably go on board for just a second just to enjoy the flat 6 scream from Donald Malcolm's Porsche. Highest placed Porsche in the field of the 2 of them. John Casey is the other one. He's a lap down on Donald. But listen to that. How can you not love that? Hell of a sound, isn't it? We're over halfway through this race now, so we could potentially get some more pit stops in the not too distant future, maybe in the next 10-15 minutes or so. A moment there listening to listening to the not subtle in any way tones of the Porsche. Oh, there was a move on there, surely, wasn't there? Jay Steffi having a go at Michael Kulaga side by side. Now this is 4-class position, and down the inside he goes. Does he get it done? Just about, yes. Nice stuff. Jay Steffi getting ahead of Kulaga. I just wanted to have a quick look there at Harry Wills. He still leads this race overall from Jonathan Ouellette. The gap is staying less than a second though. Jonathan is at least matching him for now. You can see on the left hand side of your screen it's 0.8 of a second last time they broke a beam. I have it on my timing now as 0.83 of a second, so it's certainly very consistent times being put in by both of them. Massive run now down towards Spoon Curve. James Pearce, by the way, 5.3 seconds back on these guys, and then Dave Meneno another 2.6 seconds. Tyler Campbell is down to 5th place now in the number 3 machine, but he still pushes on. Michael Kulaga is the man that is right in the thick of it here. Look at all these cars down the main straight. There's a lot of them. As he goes down the inside of Jay Steffi. Does it work? Not quite. Jay manages to hold the pace around the outside. Then you've got Donald Malcolm trying to hold off Justin Delano. This is for position as well. So you've got the 2 AM cars, one of which are on board with here, and then the 2 Pro-Ams battling in front of them. It's all go at this point of the pack. And everybody's holding everybody else up. None of them are really working together. Jonathan Ouellette, by the way, into the pits. So he had a much shorter stop than everybody else earlier. He's now going to try the undercut, potentially on Harry Wills. Not quite sure how that's going to work if he does need to pit for longer. There's nothing wrong with a red Ferrari, is there? I have to say that. Errol Yuriksoy is continuing his sort of recovery drive through the field. We've seen a lot of the BMWs spinning through some of the quicker corners, especially Spoon Curve as well. Turns 1 and 2, not too friendly to them. And of course, we saw that big moment earlier as one of the BMWs came up through 130R. Alex Treba. The car still very much damaged in that right rear corner, isn't it? Certainly not in its best ever condition. But Alex is pushing on. He's still 7th in class, but you know, he's getting the job done here. He's at least continuing on with this race. So fair play to him. But we need to stay with this fight. There's a number of cars all together here in one part of the racetrack. And it's making for some very entertaining viewing. Car in front is Kilaga, who I've mentioned time and time again. Logan Vida, sorry, has just had an issue. What's happened to Logan? It's the Cow and Chicken. Sounds like a really bad name for a pub. Just going to run a little bit wide on the exit of here. Gets the right rear wheel onto the grass, and that's... Ooh. It's an interesting choice of direction to go once the car had stopped, but at the end of the day, he's got a lot of time. No cars really around him for quite a while there, so he didn't have to worry too much about what he did when he got back going again. Sorry, just trying to sort something out in the background here. Just had something freeze at my end. I just didn't want it to affect the stream. Seems to be all okay now. Typical PCs. Michael Fowler, by the way, who was leading your AM class, has just had a problem. Daniel Florea has just gone past him. Oh, AstroTurf again. And off goes Michael. Back on nice and tidy, but he's lost a good 8 seconds to his teammate now. That's absolutely devastating for Michael Fowler. He'll be certainly not looking as calm as he does in his picture there. Right now, we've just had Brent Bravata have a problem as well. James Pearce, I think, having some problems going off the road. Apparently not. So look what happened to Brent. This is down into turn 1. Is he just going to chuck it in too hard? Car's going to go around on the left-hand side there. AstroTurf again. This stuff is absolutely lethal, is it not? I think Brent was the driver that had a spin earlier on in the race as well, wasn't he, at that same corner? There's James Pearce leading the way. Well, not leading the way, sorry. Second place at the moment. Harry Wills is 6 seconds up the road. This is Dean Timms having quite a quiet race at the moment, but out of the 3 classes, he has the biggest lead of anybody. 12.4 seconds right now for Dean. We have 2 of the series organisers leading 2 of the different classes. They're not American drivers either. That's going to go down well. Either way, Dean doing a smashing job. Don't forget that the results of this race set the grid for the very first race of the season as well, so it's important that they survive this race and make the most of it, because it could affect their championship as soon as it begins. I hope you're still enjoying the show, everybody. Those of you that are still with me, Chaz Draycott here on Absolute Sim Racing. The one-man band tonight and for the rest of the season as well here on the Race Anywhere World Series US. This is Season 2, the pre-qualifying sort of media day as a prelude to the championship, which gets underway next week. And we will have our first round of the season at good old Blighty Silverstone. But so far we've seen some fantastic battling, plenty of incidents and spins and all sorts to keep us occupied. There's only 25 minutes of this race left to go now. Sounds like a long time, but to be honest, it's only about 12 laps. Now there is a very beaten up BMW, which is the number 30 car. Just getting out of the way. Actually, sorry, it's not 30, it's number 80 car of Tom Cornett, who had a big old off earlier on into the wall. which we believe was to do with some sort of hardware or connection issues with the car blinking in and out. We have some cars coming into the pits as well now. Jason Bridges is in the Mercedes. He's another one that had a short stop earlier in the race. This is Stephen Martinez, moves up to 3rd place in the AM category in the Vulture Motorsports blue Ferrari, car 53. Very bold livery on that car. Plenty on it as well. As that was almost a look down the inside there by Donald Malcolm. Donald trying to get the move done on him. You can see the name on the back of the car there, Martinez. He knows exactly who he's chasing down, does Donald. I'll stay with him and see what he can do with his chase. He's just filling the mirrors of Martinez at the moment. Just putting his nose there. He's not doing anything now. He's not filling the mirrors. If anything, he's filling his own mirrors with daylight, with no cars in it, as he completely spins it on the AstroTurf. What a nightmare. And this is going to show you as well just how easily done that is. I'm going to slow it down for you now. Look, you've got the white and red curb there, and then a tiny bit of green AstroTurf. Just dip that one wheel on there, just if the car is slightly over-rotating, and that is all it can take. And around she goes. Donald did a good job not to let that roll back into the middle of the road, to be fair to him. But he'll be very, very frustrated with what's gone on there. He's just gone straight on a little bit of the chicane. I think potentially having some sort of connection issues too. Now, I'll point out as well that it's not always connection-based issues. That sometimes if somebody has something wrong with their CPU or just their PC in general, if it's not putting out data to the server, obviously there's no data for us to receive. So it's not always that their internet connection is bad. It's sometimes if there is a hardware problem or a throttling of a CPU, let's say. Oh, Alex Treber's had another problem in his BMW here. Going up the hill, clips that curb. Is he going to do... we saw this before. Oh, he double clips that grass on the right. Nice 360 and carries on. Wow, that's a certainly a battered BMW right now. Ryan Koprovsky's just had a problem. Apologies for all of the sporadic switching and changing. There's Fowler running wide. Koprovsky, one of the Ukrainian display team Lamborghinis, has done it. Ready? Same thing. It's honestly, I said earlier on in the broadcast, didn't I? If I had £1 or $1, whatever your currency is, if I had one every single time I've seen that, I would be very, very rich indeed. But right now, as ever, we have Ferraris on our screen. This is Michael Fowler and Stephen Martinez. Now Stephen doesn't have to worry so much about Donald trying to chase him down. Donald actually pitted not long ago as well on the previous lap, so we've got a few drivers that have pitted. Jonathan Ouellette is the latest driver in the top 10 to pit. Everyone else pitted on laps 14 and 15. Tom Cornett's had another problem in his BMW. I mean, there's not anything left of it anyway. Let's see what he's done. Up to the hairpin. Is it just going to over-rotate mid-corner or on the exit? Oh, it just gets on the power a bit early. Back end goes around. He went off the road to get it back facing the right way and then carried on. So back with Martinez. Michael Fowler just in front of him. Very, very close together indeed. Just behind them, Kulaga and Delano, then Bravata, Davis and Urixoy. All an alternation of AM and then Pro-Am and so on. Dave Menino from 3rd place into the pits in the Lamborghini. Tyler Campbell carries on in his Ferrari. He was 3rd earlier on, 2nd even at some point. But he's now dropped a bit further down the order. There's that humongous train still going. Honestly, these guys have stuck together like a proper beehive of GT3 cars, all just moving in unison. That was a fantastic noise there. The Lamborghini going over the bridge across the top of us. As whoa, big, big moment there. Errol Urixoy with that imbalance at the back of the car with the damage. Starting to lose the back end. Dean Timms, by the way, in the Pro-Am classes into the pits now. So your Pro-Am leader is on pit road, as the Americans say. I want to stick with this. There's plenty going on here because this is Kulaga. Bravata round the outside of him. Lovely stuff on the way into Spoon Curve. And you've got Urixoy, Davis, and then Placence just behind. Car behind them is not for position. It's the two purple Audis, actually. John Cooper and Andrew Rasmussen. These guys a number of laps down on the rest of the field. Unfortunately, John Cooper 2 laps down. Rasmussen some 7 laps down on everybody else. So not in a position to challenge anybody immediately. It's all getting checked up and very close in the chicane. Oh, there was contact in front. Or even was there contact between the Audis? I think actually, yeah. I think there was. I think Rasmussen's hit the back of John Cooper and he's just said, all right then, if that's how you want to do it. Rasmussen's not waiting for anybody here though. He's got Pro-Ams in front of him. Look at that, 3 wide down the inside into turn 1. You could argue it was completely unnecessary by Andrew Rasmussen. It's not his fight to have. He is lapped traffic to these guys, but stuff it if you've got the pace. Why not? Very, very brave stuff. Andrew pushing hard. We've got our top 3 in the pits. Harry Wills, James Pearce and Tyler Campbell. Not much really between the 3 of them as they come in though, by the look of it. Tyler doing a bit of dodging one way then the other. I think he remembered. There must be a rule or something about that, which if there is, hats off to the organisers because I love that. But you can see it was almost like Tyler remembered, like, oh sugar, I was supposed to be over there. But still, standards reign. Now this is Dean Timms right behind Logan Vida. He's in there somewhere. There's a big old BMW as he goes to the left of him. That becomes a useless camera angle all of a sudden, but Dean's... Dean squeezes Logan over to the right. No need in it. There is no need in it. Really careless stuff by Dean Timms there, look. Oh, man. That could have been a huge incident again for either of them, but still, they just about get away with it. And Logan Vida probably in the pits for a change of underwear after that one. But not too impressed with that one, as you can probably tell. Errol Urixoy still in this massive train of machines. We've got a number of cars making their way into the pits. Kaprowski, Vida, Florea, Steffi, Delano's in there as well. Daniel Davis comes in the Ferrari. But Harry Wills, your race leader after his second pit stop. Bit of damage on the front of Harry's car. Dave Meneno is right with him. He's within a second of the Audi. James Pearce is 5.4 seconds back. I think Dave Meneno here could be a bit of a dark horse in this race. Oh, Andrew Rasmussen's been off, by the way. Andrew Rasmussen's been off big time. What's he done here? Oh, that's on the exit of the final chicane. Whoa, that's a big old wobble, and he's going to trolley it. Oh, he hits one wall and then, yep, damages the car, and he's a very, very frustrated man right now, I can imagine. But here is our lead battle. Let's listen just to see. Has the Lamborghini noise changed? Not one bit. I really love that car. Looks very, very aggressive, very evil as it chases you down. It's certainly the Batmobile of GT3 cars, you have to say. And right now, Dave Meneno for SRT Esport looking really, really strong. His last lap was a 2 minutes .3, although it's not fair to compare the two actually, because Harry Wills pitted on the previous lap, so it says his lap was half a minute slower, understandably. But Dave Meneno with the popping and banging shotgun-like Lamborghini, putting pressure on in the field that is so far dominated by Ferraris. It's great to see these two V10 armed machines, the Audi and the Lamborghini, fighting at the front. We're an hour of the way through this race. And this is the only class that has a podium that isn't just locked out by Ferraris right now. You can see that for yourself on the left-hand side, of course, but it's still worth saying. Brent Bravata and Errol Urixoy both in the pits from the Pro-Am category. But we're going to stay with Dave Meneno and Harry Wills because I need to see how this develops. We've not got long to go in this race. Maybe only 6 or 7 laps after this one, probably 6. But this could be a last-minute change of events at the top. Jonathan Ouellette, after a longer pit stop this time, some 21 seconds to Tyler Campbell's 15, has obviously found himself a bit further down the order, side by side as they go up the hill though. Towards 130R, the screaming Porsche just behind. Not much room given there by Jonathan Ouellette, but just enough to fit a Ferrari in the gap. And Tyler Campbell is down to 5th position now in car 3. After a sturdy start for Tyler, it's just not continued to sort of hold together. The glue has come slightly undone. Michael Fowler has been off the circuit. Actually, no, apologies. He's been off the circuit, but it's this sort of thing that we get told about. There you go. It's not too much to worry about, is it? What is something to worry about is, well, this. Alex Traber has been off again in his BMW. Is he going to clip the grass on the right? No. Oh, no, he just loses it on the way in. Big old spin at Spoon Curve. Not really a spin, actually, more of a slide. Now then, we've got our 2 V10s back together. Harry Wills and Dave Meneno. I would not have put Dave on to win this race. No offence to Dave, of course, but he was very under the radar in qualifying. And I would have thought that James Pearce, with the incredible pace he had, always had potential to win this race. Sorry, I was just checking again some times on the board there. We've got a number of the AM drivers in. Michael Fowler on his way into the pits. Stephen Martinez, Matthew Plaisance, and Michael Kulaga from Pro-Am is in there as well. Here's Logan Vida with Ryan Koprowski just behind. You can see both of them running wide there, just touching that AstroTurf and straightening the car up, thinking, nah, I'm all right. I don't want to keep turning too aggressively while the car is out there. Looks like Logan Vida is really fighting that BMW up the hill. The Lamborghini, while I did say before it looks heavy and it looks stiff, it looks better than the BMW looks right now. That cow does not look very comfortable. It looks like he's got mad cow disease. But Logan is wrestling that thing around. Now, these two don't need to fight either. Logan could just let him go here, because it's for overall position, not in class. These two drivers in different classes in this race. Up the hill once again. We've got a close battle actually going on. Tyler Campbell still trying to attack Jonathan Ouellette. And only 7 seconds up the road, our leaders are still right together as well. So there's a few last-minute battles shaping up here in this race. Jason Bridges and Daniel Davis close together as well. That's Mercedes versus Ferrari, as it was in 2017 Formula One. No longer, though. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. It's deja vu here, though. Harry Wills right behind him. A Lamborghini with Dave Meneno at the wheel. 1 hour and 5 minutes coming up. And then we are only 10 minutes away from the end of this race. Certainly the second half of it has absolutely flown by once the pit stops got started. The field spread out a bit. We had the odd battle just cropping up. Now that could have been a bit of a telling moment, and it is. Harry Wills goes straight on, and he's off, and he's into the barrier, and even more importantly, he's between two of the barriers, and the car is in absolute tatters. Unbelievable stuff. Just over 10 minutes of the race left to go. Harry Wills, who has led so much of this race and done so well, throws it away. Now the car blinked in and out. I mentioned earlier, didn't I, that it could sometimes be a CPU or just generically computer related issue, not just to do with your connection. Harry's car did blink in and out, and he just touches the grass and the back end's already gone, and he's off and he's in the wall hard. You can imagine though that Dave Meneno right now, he will be laughing all the way to the bank, because Harry's got to come in the pits as well. Handful of laps left to go, and Meneno leads the way. James Pearce is now second. Jonathan Ouellette and Tyler Campbell still fighting their way through the traffic to see who gets the final podium spot. Ryan Koprovsky's been off. Joseph Smith has been off. We've had a real influx of incidents all of a sudden. It's the Braun GP livery for Joseph Smith. Off he goes. Oh, just clips the wall. Tiny, tiny bit. And I think the car went around after that as well, actually. Ryan Koprovsky has been off in the Lambo. He's clipped the grass on the right-hand side. We've seen a few guys do that as the tyres go off. It's not easy to get that right. People avoiding him well around that part of the circuit. But in the AM class, Florea absolutely gone at the moment. 12.9 seconds ahead of Fowler. Whoa, two teammates there. That's Place Hunts and Delano getting very close together as they just let the lap traffic through. That is Errol Uriksoy in the Pro-Am class, actually. It was for overall position in the race, but these guys don't need to worry about fighting him for that. But that was a very, very scary moment there. And now the two Eclipse Ferraris absolutely glued together as we go up the hill towards 130R. Justin backs off slightly there. Doesn't want to challenge his teammate too much. You can see these guys just taking it easy now, knowing that there's only a handful of laps left to go. It's just a case of getting the car to the end. And the Eclipse guys doing that in flying formation. Daniel Davis has got Donald Malcolm in the Porsche closing in on him, the blue machine. He has sort of half look down the inside there. The other Porsche in the field just blinks in and out for a second or so there. That's John Casey in the 046 machine. Not seen too much of John since he had that off in the opening laps. And Harry Wills, you have to feel for him. We've all seen an Audi looking like that in the Daytona 24, the Spa 24, any of the iRacing special events. We've all seen an Audi look like that, but this is not the time for it for Harry Wills. He'll be absolutely gutted. I think actually he's had another issue. That's exactly why the car looks like that. He comes out of the pits, it's not fixed. He expects it to be fixed, and yeah, ain't playing ball, mate. That is such a shame, isn't it? It is such a shame. He did so well up to this point. He's gone off the circuit again, and he's gone back to the pits. Or has he? No, he's pulled over to one side. He'll be absolutely kicking himself. There you go. He does go back to the pits in the end. Harry will be absolutely kicking himself over that one. As, whoa, Jason Bridges has a bit of a slide. Lovely avoidance there from Daniel Davis, I think that was, or is it? Yeah, Daniel Davis in the number 33 Ferrari. Donald Malcolm trying to get in on this as well. These three fighting for position in the AM class, 6th, 7th and 8th in class. Right together. We've just got to be so careful not to push too hard when trying to overtake each other here. So we've got mid-engine Ferrari versus rear-engine Porsche versus front-engine Mercedes at a circuit that is very tricky and very slippery. Up the hill then to 130R. Looks like Davis didn't quite get the run out of Spoon Curve that he wanted, but look at the pace through there. Really quick compared to Donald, but he chooses the safe option. Whoa, late on the brakes though is Donald. Daniel was also late on the brakes as well, but scary moment there, especially from Jason Bridges' point of view. He'd have seen those cars closing in rapid and thought, no thank you, I'd rather not get rear-ended by the pair of you. Just a bit further up the road, by the way. Two Eclipse Racing Ferraris still glued together. A bit wide there from Mathieu Plaisance. But still, they carry on in what is a wonderful flying formation. 1 hour and 10 minutes done in this race. We're into the last 5 minutes now, everybody. Only a couple more laps to go. And it is still with a 10-second lead now. Dave Menino in the Lamborghini. What a fantastic drive this has been. He started 10th on the grid overall. He started near the bottom of the Pro class. He has just kept his nose clean. He's been right under the radar. And he has got this thing so far 95% of the way to the end. Harry Wills in the chat, mate, I'm so gutted for you, honestly. Absolutely gutted for you. But as is the savage world of motorsport, I'm afraid, my friend. It, of course, affects the grid positions for the first round of the championship as well, does this race. This race is to set those positions. Daniel Florea has just had a problem. Just want to see how this turns out first. Bridges down the inside of Malcolm. Holds him off for now. Let's have a quick look at what happened to Daniel Florea. He's come into the pits after this as well. Loses the back end over the AstroTurf at 130R and clouts the wall twice with the front end. Also hits it with the rear. And around she goes. Now, Daniel Davis has just been off the circuit as well. Because he was right with these guys a second ago, was he not? Oh, Bridges has gone in hot there, has he? No? Seems to be alright. I was going to say Daniel Davis was with these guys just a second ago. Loses the back end on the exit of Spoon Curb. Errol Uriksoy is now off as well. Nobody wants to finish this race. Well, Errol returns to the road and carries on. Now this is the battle for third position. Jonathan Ouellette in the Twisted Racing Machine and Tyler Campbell in the FTR Esports Ferrari. Spoken quite a bit to Tyler before. He's a very enthusiastic fellow. He's got one of the loudest keyboards on earth, if I remember rightly. But still, a nice guy. And as you've seen tonight, very, very quick. They just need to sort out the matte black on that Ferrari and make it a little less matte, I'd say. But it's their livery, not mine. I still like it. I like an asymmetrical livery. It's been a great chase by both of these guys. They've, at certain points of the race, had to chase the car in front and hold people off. They've both done a great job of doing both of those jobs. As the Eclipse Ferraris just let guys go for now. It sounds like they're fuel saving as well, actually, so maybe they've not quite got the juice to get to the end. Tom Cornett has been off again in his BMW. This thing has certainly been through the walls, and so has Tom. And again, look, seems like there was some sort of hardware issue there, or even a connection issue, and suddenly the car goes. Daniel Florea has had his own off. This is into Spoon Curb. The Ferrari already a bit broken after his hit through 130R. AstroTurf? Yep. You can just see it coming. If they make it through the apex without the car spinning around, you know they're going to hit the AstroTurf. You just know. Now then, this is worth noticing. Michael Fowler and Steven Martinez for the lead in the AM class. 0.2 of a second. It's 10 seconds between the leaders in the other classes, but not these boys. No, no. They want to make sure that this is a fight to the end. Big understeer, though, from Steven's car there. Look at that. You can really feel it. Certainly the tyres at this point in the race absolutely gone. He's got to be so patient getting on the throttle. Matthew Playson and Travis Kepler have both gone off. We've not seen too much of Travis as this race has gone on, actually. Matthew's just gone in a little bit too hot into turn one. Slowly, 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 the rear end goes, and is Travis going to join him? I thought the two of them might have been connected incidents, but it seems not. We'll have to have a look at what happened to Travis Kepler. This is up to the hairpin. It's just going to over-rotate itself on the power. There it goes. And then Alex Traber has also had another issue. This time into Spoon Curve again. Ready? Are we calling it AstroTurf? For $5? No, it's not AstroTurf. He just loses the back end. Anyway, at the very front of the field, this is Dave Menino. He started this race 10th on the grid, near the very bottom of his class. One of the only Lamborghinis in the field. And it's been a very solid and very clean drive. As things stand right now, he will be, if the race finishes as it is, the only non-Ferrari on any of the podium spots in the field across all three classes. And that'll be a hell of an achievement as well, considering it is the top spot of all three podiums. And he's going to get it done. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Menino of SRT Esport, what a drive to get the season underway. He'll start on pole at the first round of the championship. Very well done indeed. What a drive by Dave Menino. James Pearce is going to finish in second place in the Twisted Racing Pro Ferrari. Nicely done by James. Third place right behind him, Jonathan Ouellette. and then Tyler Campbell as well. We have to wait a bit of time to see Dean Timms, who is going to win the Pro-Am class. That's, of course, if everything goes correctly. It's looking nice and clean at the moment through 130R. And Dean is going to get the job done here, I'm pretty sure of it. Round the final corner he goes. Dean Timms, a very, very tidy drive, that is. 7 places gained from 12th on the grid, takes the win in the Pro-Am category. And Casey Metzger is going to come home in 2nd place. Quite a quiet race for him as well, to be fair. Very clean-looking Ferrari as he crosses the line. Eric Kulaga is going to be the next one up. He is going to start making his way around into the Casio Triangle now. And Stephen Martinez and Michael Fowler have both just come together at Spoon Curve. I'm sorry to Eric Kulaga, but nice sportsmanship there. Let's have a look at how this came about very quickly. So Martinez is in the white and blue car, trying to attack for position, runs in a little bit deep, nearly gets into the back of him, goes in deep on the brakes, and that is really strong sportsmanship there. Look at that. He's waited for him. He said, no, I don't want to take the win like that from you, mate. Although he's overtaken him afterwards. I think Michael's going to try and do him back. No, I think he's done it fair and square on the slipstream afterwards. But either way, Stephen Martinez takes the win in the AM class. Michael Fowler finishes 2nd. Very well done. Good sportsmanship, at least, right to the end. And 3rd place went the way of Justin Delano in that class. What a great race that was, though. And what a great way to get the championship underway. Hopefully it means that by now I'll be able to at least identify the cars come the season start. I hope you've enjoyed that one, everybody. We're going to get some results in just a second. And we should have them just about now, if you bear with me. We'll first off go through the pro drivers from that race. Dave Menino takes the win, 10.8 seconds clear of Jonathan Ouellette, with Tyler Campbell in 4th. And the last car on the lead lap there in that class, Alex Traber, 1 minute 19 seconds down. Ryan Koprowski and Jeremy Littleton, 1 lap down and 2 laps down respectively. Harry Wills and John Cooper, both 4 laps down. Absolutely devastated for Harry Wills come the end of that one. Daniel Tenorio retired with 25 laps left, and Wilson Brewer with 30 laps left. Heading over to the Pro-Ams, Dean Timms, who we have in the background there, takes the win by 16 seconds over Casey Metzger. Eric Kulaga finishes 3rd for Vulture Motorsports. Logan Vida was 4th ahead of Jay Steffi, the last car in their class, on the lead lap. Then it's Michael Kulaga, Errol Urexoy and Joseph Smith. 4 laps down was Brent Bravata, and Andrew Rasmussen rounds out your 10-car field in Pro-Am. And last but very much not least, the AM class, a very, very much spread out affair right now. Stephen Martinez and Michael Fowler, 0.2 of a second between the two of them by the time they cross the line. Everyone else a lap down on them when the flag dropped. Justin Delano, Matthew Plaisance, Donald Malcolm, Jason Bridges, Daniel Davis, Drew Newbuyer, Daniel Florea, and Travis Kepler, all 1 lap down. John Casey and Tom Cornett, 2 laps down on them by the time that the flag fell. So then, it's probably about that time that we tried to get some drivers in for a quick chat. And out of all of them, if I can get my words out at least, out of all of them that have come to have a chat with us, thankfully, it's the wonderful Dave Menino that has come to join us for this one. I'm just going to try and get the replay to actually work for you, Dave, and then we can actually have a chat, turn the music down, and have a good chinwag about that race, because being honest with you, starting 10th on the grid in that one, were you expecting to win that race? Because it looked like a very, very tight pack in front of you. It can't have been on the cards for most people.
Yeah, definitely wasn't expecting to win at all. But yeah, to your point, especially at the beginning there was kind of just a train of 3 or 4 cars in front of me. It was really difficult to get a run on anyone, and I think I had maybe a tiny bit better pace than a few guys at the front. But yeah, I mean, considering the gap they had on me, I knew it was going to be really tough. But I think, to be honest, I think everyone in front of me just had like an off or had some sort of small mistake, and I kind of just kept it clean, and that's, I think, what made the difference at the end.
Well, it certainly looked like it, mate, and it was a hell of a drive all the way through. Was there any particular secret that you had to keeping it so clean out there? Because I know that cars like the Audi, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, these mid-engine cars can be very difficult around this circuit. I've got a particularly bad relationship with the Audi around here, but I know that sometimes you have to have a certain knack for these cars. Is there anything that you know that you do differently in this car compared to any others, for example?
Yeah, you kind of hit it on the head where a lot of the curbs in some of these corners, particularly the two before you go under the bridge and at the end of 130R, like they really want to turn around the mid-engine cars. So it was really just staying off of those or ensuring if I was braking on one of the curbs, I was using really light brake pressure and making sure I didn't lock up the rears or anything. So yeah, I mean that's kind of the trick, is just staying away from those dangerous curbs.
Yeah, indeed. It's not the best friend of a GT3 car, but a great way to get your championship underway. First round at Silverstone next week. Is that a circuit that you're looking forward to driving on?
Yeah, definitely. I think that should be a circuit that I would think would suit the Lamborghinis and Audis pretty well. So yeah, I mean, I have high hopes. Hopefully we can come on with the podium.
Well, fingers crossed for you, Dave. Anybody that you'd like to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Yeah, I would like to thank you guys for broadcasting. Would like to thank Harry and team and the World Series team for putting on this great league. It's always a blast to run it every season, and would like to thank the boys of the SRT Esport team.
Lovely stuff. Well done on the win again, Dave. Fantastic performance tonight, and I look forward to seeing how you get on in the rest of the season. Cheers.
Great, thanks.
Well, there you go, everybody. A quick chat with your race winner, Dave Menino, an absolute star in that Lamborghini, and certainly came from under the radar to take the win. But I'm afraid that is all we have time for here tonight on Absolute Sim Racing. Thank you very much for joining me, Chaz Draycott. It's been a lot of fun, and I'll be back with you in a week's time when we get the championship underway at Silverstone. And then we embark on an 11-week mission to take us, sorry, a 10-week mission to take us through to the end of the season. But for now, have a wonderful night, enjoy yourselves, and I will see you again in a week's time. See you soon, everyone.